Alright, let's start off talking about Sheeva's crushing blows. Actually, quick disclaimer, we're only going to talk about the tournament variation crushing blows, and we're not going to talk about the down 2 crushing blow, because that's pretty much the same requirement for every character in the game, so I don't really see the point of that. But yes, let's get started. The first base crushing blow we're going to talk about is her back 3, and it's an overhead kick that comes out in I-24. You trigger this crushing blow by countering or punishing a low or a duck attack. Now, to me, when I think about a crushing blow that you get from a punish or a counter, typically if the move comes out in a decent amount of star frames, it's not that hard to get. But this move comes out in I-24. That's pretty slow. That's pretty slow. And topping that off again, you have to punish or counter a duck attack or a low attack. I feel like there are not a lot of lows in the game that are negative 24 frames. So for this move, I feel like you need to be really good with your spacing and controlling the neutral. It doesn't have great range, but it has decent range. And if you're good with your spacing and controlling the neutral, as I'm showing examples again, you can pull this move off. I don't think this is really hard, but I don't think this is really easy either. The next crushing blow is her back forward 4, which is a mid grab attack that comes out in I-11. You trigger this crushing blow by punishing a move or breaking armor, and I can already tell you that this is going to be much easier to get than the last crushing blow move. I mean, I-11 versus I-24, much faster. You're not limited to punishing a low or a duck attack, so any move in the game that is -11 or worse on block, if you punish that, you get this crushing blow. Also, this move, you get a crushing blow if you break armor with it, and I-11 is not blazing fast, but it's decently fast. So I do think this is a valuable move to go for if you have good timing for armor breaking, for a crushing blow, or just armor breaking in general, because this is your armor break move. So I think this is solid. This is very doable. Her last base crushing blow is her down up teleporting unblockable stomp. I don't know why this move is hilarious to me. I feel like she's looking at the opponent like, are you trying to run? And then just like catching them in the stomp like wherever they are. Now granted, you can definitely beat this move. This is not an unbeatable move. I just think it's a really funny move. But anyway, you get this move by, this crushing blow is triggered by 3 total stomps as long as you don't miss one. So basically, I'm showing you examples right here where I do a stomp, I land, and then I do other attacks, and I do a stomp, I land, and I do other attacks. And then as long as you amplify the 3rd stomp and you land it, you'll get the crushing blow. But if you miss any of those stomps, then it resets, you have to start over. Let's look at the crushing blows of variation 1. And I'm just going to kind of piggyback off of what I was just talking about. In variation 1, if you do the stomp, you can kind of control the distance of where you land in the stomp. And I just froze it right here to show you that I'm picking the stomp that's nearest versus the stomp that's like farthest versus the regular stomp that just lands where the character is. And the requirements are exactly the same. I'm just picking the near stomp over and over again, but you just have to land 3 total stomps without missing one and amplify the 3rd stomp and you get the crushing blow. So the requirements exactly the same. The last crushing blow from variation 1 is the anti-air grab amplify. So basically how this works is it triggers if you do the anti-air grab, the regular one, and right after that you do the anti-air grab and you amplify, and you'll get a crushing blow that like pops you up and you get a combo for it. This doesn't seem easy, and I don't think it's easy, but I don't think it's really hard either, because in this variation you have another ground stomp which has a faster startup than your teleporting ground stomp. It's kind of, we call it the tremor ground stomp, or at least that's what they call it in Combat Cast. And it's very similar, and it has a shorter startup. So this is a little bit harder to deal with, in my opinion, than a teleporting ground stomp. The reason this is very helpful is because this synchronizes very well with the anti-air grab. If you do the ground stomp, if you do the tremor stomp and then amplify and hold up, you will grab your opponent and do the anti-air grab. And I think this kind of sets you up for some pretty nice pressure in certain situations. Maybe if you're like by the wall, your opponent's health is low or whatever the case may be, and they're worried about you doing the tremor ground stomp, and they jump and you catch them, or you do the tremor ground stomp and you amplify and you catch them mid jump, just like I just showed you there. And then in maybe that case, it might be easier to set up this crushing blow under those circumstances. Gotta play with this though, this character's brand new. Okay, first crushing blow in variation 2. Back forward 1 is an I-21 mid projectile shield. This crushing blow is triggered when you delay holding the shield and you throw the shield. The shield will destroy projectile in air and then will hit your opponent, and this will trigger the crushing blow. So Let me kind of go over some test cases to kind of clarify certain things that will not work, just for clarification. Alright, if you press back forward 1 and you don't hold 1 to hold the shield before you throw it, it will not trigger the crushing blow, it will not absorb the projectile of your opponent. If you actually just hold the shield and delay it, that also will not absorb the projectile, and again, no crushing blow will be triggered because you didn't throw anything. If you hit your opponent before their projectile actually comes out of their hand or their body or whatever, again, it will not trigger the crushing blow. Now, if you actually hold the shield, throw it, and your opponent shoots multiple projectiles, it will absorb all the projectiles and hit your opponent and crushing blow. So it doesn't have a limit of one projectile. It will absorb more than one projectile. The last crushing blow in variation 2 is down back 2, 21 frame startup. It's a multi-hitting string, and this is probably the most straightforward one to get. You just have to land the amplified version 3 times. Doesn't have to be in a row. You can miss in between. You can do other attacks in between. Doesn't matter. It's just like Liu Kang's bicycle kick crushing blow. As long as you land the amplified version 3 times total, you get the crushing blow. Okay, first crushing blow for variation 3. Back forward 3 basically triggers Sheeva's marching stance, where she runs forward and you hold 3, and as soon as you release 3, she will release with this boot kick. It's like a high kick, that's like plus on block. To trigger the crushing blow, you have to run about half the screen and then land the kick, and then you will get a crushing blow. Now, if I'm being honest, I have no idea how hard this crushing blow will be to get. This stance seems to have a lot of depth out of it. It has a lot of options out of the stance, so that makes me feel like it's definitely possible to get this crushing blow. I'm showing you on the screen some of the options you have. So I do think you have options. One thing I did, just kind of playing around in practice, I did the 2-1 string to pop up, and say for example your opponent doesn't have any defensive meter and you run and you catch them with the boot or something like that. That might be one way to do it, although I do believe your opponent can just get up and block. But it's just options there. We have to learn this together. The stance is brand new for all of us. The last crushing blow for variation 3 is back forward 3, press down right after you release the 3, and she will do her back 3 overhead standalone kick, except it will come out of marching stance. And the requirements for this crushing blow are identical to the standalone back 3, except this does cost 1 bar of offensive meter. Unfortunately, you can't do both. So if you land the crushing blow for the back 3 overhead, then you can't land the crushing blow coming out of the marching stance for the overhead, and vice versa. Unfortunately, that's just the way it is. That being said, this is the end of my Sheeva crushing blow video. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm working on a grappling video for Sheeva right now, so I should hopefully have that out for you guys in about 2 days at the latest, 3 days, hopefully. Anyway, this is Acid Light. You guys take care.